Hello there, good morning, and you're watching QTV This Morning. I am your host, Jennifer Sonko, and as usual, joined by my amazing co-host, Ibrahim Balde. How was your weekend?
Well, Jennifer, it was a great weekend. I relaxed a lot. I spent the whole weekend with my family.
That's good.
You know.
You didn't go to the farm this time?
No, I didn't.
You know, you're an agricultural person.
I didn't go to the farm this time.
Okay.
I decided to spend it at home with the family. It's
All right.
important sometimes to sit, chill with the boys, do your attire.
What about the girl?
Well, the girl and the boy.
Yeah, the girl and
when
the
I
boys.
say boys,
All inclusive.
I mean my boys, my friends.
Oh, your friends?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you meant the kids.
No.
Okay.
See, it's gender bias. I know
And that is not the case at
I
all.
know that.
Anyway, I had a good weekend too. I, took a break, rest here and there. But anyway, like we said the last time, journalism is such, in a way that even when you're resting, it is something that you're doing at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because throughout the weekend, I've obviously been going in and out, which also has to do with work. Not maybe QTV's work, but indirectly things that I do as well. So, but all in all, it was a good weekend.
Well, it was a good weekend. I also had a great one, and I relaxed a lot, And this morning, Jennifer, something happened. The traffic was so tense to an extent that I almost got here late.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the traffic sometimes is a problem.
It's crazy. I don't know what should be done to make sure we ease this traffic congestion that we have, in the mornings.
True,
it's
but
crazy.
Anyway, people like you guys have a car, so yen mun ngena talk. But anytime yen jog, why man supermarket nga xamne aw moto.
For those of us with vehicle, for those of us with cars, we have the biggest problem because being in the traffic for a very long time, sometimes you stand at one place for almost 30 minutes without moving.
Yeah, but at least if you have a car, you are in your own car, comfortably driving. But people like me that do not have one, sometimes it's difficult.
Don't worry. If you get your car, you'll feel like one day parking your car and
walking.
I'm telling you.
So moving on, before we head right onto the discussion, we will just take a look at some of the things that we have for you today. So as usual, we will do the motivational quote, and today again we'll be taking a look at an African proverb. We will also do the newspaper review, and we are joined by our colleague Ali Cisse to help us analyze some of the stories that we have on the papers. Community Watch is also here. Social Issues is here as well. We'll be talking about preparations toward the State of the Nation Address 2021. Also, we'll be joined by Skengman Sweezy to update us in relation to what is happening in the world of entertainment. Also, sports update, we'll be joined by our colleague Mamadou Gajaga to take us through what is happening in the world of sports. Quite interesting stories when it comes to sports for today. So we're looking forward to what Mamadou Gajaga has to offer. So what is our motivational quote for today? Specifically, what is our African proverb for this morning?
These are form of saying, he who drags a goat to the market also finds himself in the market. Meaning, anyone who is trying to tarnish the image of another person will also tarnish his or her image. Jennifer, well, this is great. Yeah,
so for me, when I'm analyzing something like this, I'm going to actually talk about politics, because right now the December 4th election is coming up. So I just want to try to peg this to our political situation currently. I am saying this and I mean it. If I see any political party tarnishing the image of another party, or any individual tarnishing the image of another individual using probably videos, using insults and other things, I wouldn't vote for you, because you are part of that gang. The moment you address certain things on someone, it's because you have a role to play. It's because you are part of it. So for me, this really works. And it should work for everyone. The moment you see an individual, a politician, or whoever it might be, talking bad about someone else or trying to blackmail someone else, please run away from that particular individual. People who blackmail, you go to them, they blackmail you too. That is just the situation.
You know what? It takes people with intellect, people with brains, people who have a great thinking capacity to be able to differentiate a person tarnishing someone's image for a particular interest. You understand? If you come to me today, maybe you tarnish someone's image, I have to think about this. Why is Jennifer doing this? I just don't have to go ahead and believe Jennifer. Let me try and scrutinize this thing to know the reason behind this thing, whether it's true or not.
For me, at some point, sometimes you don't even need to dig down to check if it's true or not. Because the moment someone is doing something like that, then it tells a lot about that particular individual. This takes me to friendship. I want to talk about friendship. Friendship is something that is very important. And most of the time when we're together with our friends, we confide in each other. We talk to each other about things that we wouldn't tell someone else who we are not friends with. But the moment the friendship breaks, that's the culture that I've seen in the Gambia.
Yes, yes.
They will go around tarnishing your image.
Exactly.
They will go around say all the bad things in the world about you. Let us value friendship, you guys. It is very important. I'm not saying that you should be friends with someone for 100 years. The moment you feel like you don't want to be friends with someone anymore, it is okay if you don't want to associate with someone. But don't go talking about things that you guys talked about when you were close. It's a no-no for me, to be honest.
At some point, the truth shall be revealed one day.
Yes.
And whenever the truth comes out, people will see this person as a very negative person, a liar.
And one thing, Ibrahima, is we all talk about each other. And then that is community, that is society. It's not something that we can run away from entirely. Me, I can come talk about Balde to you, talk about Balde to... But tarnishing someone's image, the magnitude, it depends on the magnitude and what you bring into it. So,
exactly. So let us try and practice positive attitude towards our friends, family members, and any person that we deal directly or indirectly.
And also, if you break out with your friend, if you're not friends with someone anymore, we were in there. When the friendship boom on so they may and be saying things when things were good. So we have to also take a look at that.
Yes, I know we are taking so long
but
on
this is very
African
important.
proverb.
Yeah.
It's important. Sometimes we have other things in the society that happen. That is, if you've done something for someone in secret,
exactly,
at the end of the time, maybe you had a problem, you start revealing all the things that you've done for this person. So these are attitudes that we should change. Attitudinal change is very important.
Yes, and like I said, I'm going to repeat this over and over because it is so important to me, and I know a lot of people have been victims. Friendship is very important. The moment you fall out, you're falling out, it's done, it's done. Don't go talking rubbish. It's not a good idea. We should really work on that.
It's nonsense.
It's not applicable. So we will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will head right on to the newspaper review. Like I said, we're joined by Aliou Cisse, and he will help us analyze some of the stories that we have on the papers. Do stay tuned.
The best product in town is back. QCell's MiFi router. Get the best MiFi in the country for just $2,800 and connect up to 15 users with 4G internet speeds and a long-lasting battery life. So rush now to any of our customer care locations and get the best for less while stocks last. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Boss, the Gambia's quality network. We innovate, others follow. Join the Gambia's fastest growing network and enjoy high-speed 4G LTE. Dial *335# to subscribe to QCell's 4G LTE service. There's no need to swap your SIM. QCell, Senior Boss. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back, viewers, from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And like I mentioned, we will head right on to the newspaper review, and we're joined by our colleague, Aliou Cisse, to help us analyze some of the stories we have. I think I'm seeing the Standard there.
Yes, this is the Standard newspaper, Jennifer. Let's take a look at the headline. Yep. APRC, NPP form alliance to contest elections. Okay. Economic soldier Ram Bajka killing 2. Coup in Guinea. I think this story, coup in Guinea, yesterday, it took over the internet.
Yeah, it did.
Yes. Defense minister says Senegalese troops not coming for elections. Okay. Winston kills 2 fishermen. Standards Omar Bah wins Political Reporter of the Year award. Opposition joined forces against Macky Sall ahead of elections. NPP supporter quits over alliance with APRC.
All right, so moving on Faria, we have APRC joins NPP-led coalition for December 4th, 2021 presidential elections. We also have Pura urges public to report unlicensed fuel dealers. We also have GAF announces death of warrant officer class 2, Nyasi Momodu Lamin, may his soul rest in perfect peace. National Assembly to commence third ordinary session today. And also the consequence of the APRC-NPP alliance. That is all we have on Faria.
On the Gambia Daily, disaster recovery. Government provides 44 million to National Disaster Management Agency for victims. COVID-19 response. More women vaccinated than men. Ban on sales of cigarette packs without health warning takes effect today. What happened since declaration of polio outbreak? The Daily, Gambia Daily Journal.
So that is those are our headlines. Interesting headlines there, and like I said, we're joined by our colleague Aliou Cisse. But Ibrahima,
yes,
we will just take this opportunity to congratulate all of the winners for the Gambia Press Union Awards, and also Aliou Cisse here was nominated. Congratulations! Just a nomination is a win. I can remember this is something that you've been singing for me for the past 2 years that I've been nominated. So congratulations to all of the award winners, and let the work continue. So now let's take a look at APRC joins NPP-led coalition for December 4th, 2021 presidential elections. Before you come in, Aliou, I think it is important that we clear that currently we're not sure of what is in the MOU, so we cannot ask questions in relation to that, but we will keep you updated if the MOU is out and it's signed and we get the authentic one. We'll keep you up to date as the development comes to us. So Aliou, what's your take in relation to this coalition?
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Thank you very much, Balde. It's once again a pleasure to be here on this morning program. Like you said, I mean, the issue of the coalition APRC, NPP has been dominating the headlines for the past weeks, months, and until recently when it was confirmed. But what is certain is that we have seen something circulating on social media appearing to be the MOU that is being purportedly signed between the NPP and the APRC. But there's just something that to note as far as that document circulating is concerned. One thing that is certain for me is Fabagat Nomajara said this thing was signed on the 2nd of September.
Okay.
The one circulating is indicating 3rd of September.
Okay.
That's contradictory in that case. And then the other thing is there's nowhere where you have an MOU which is not signed. And this one is not signed.
Okay.
And even whereas it was signed, who signed on behalf of who? So for me, that one is a no-go area. Like you said in that intro, the one circulating on social media is not authentic, and as we speak, we cannot confirm that it is the MOU. And for me, it is not the MOU because it is not authentic at all. It is not signed.
As we speak,
It's not signed. So,
yeah.
But then looking at it as at the end of the day, some people might say, okay, it's not a good idea. But this is politics. In politics, there's no permanent friend, there's no permanent enemy.
Okay.
What is permanent is interest. And people have to understand APRC is a legally registered political party. Gambians are the people who are supporting the party. And APRC, like any other party, has the right to form coalition with any other party. One thing we need to understand, we should really separate Jame from APRC. Before this coalition come into being, we had people who were leaving the APRC to join other political parties. There was no issue about that. People embrace these people. They welcome them to their party. And they are from the APRC. So if really people really want to distance themselves from APRC, then you wouldn't really have to accept people who were supporting the APRC in the first place.
Okay.
And people will say, okay, APRC government, a lot has happened. But we have thousands of these APRC supporters who are clean, who are very civilized and dignified Gambians. They were just supporting the party of their choice, like any other party is supporting his or her party. So for me, what is important right now is for people to really focus on their policies and programs, and it is up to Gambians to decide. And then the other thing, if you believe APRC is not significant, why all the noise about APRC joining NPP? So for me, I don't think this is something that people should really make much noise about. I mean, if APRC is not significant, then for me, it's not relevant for people to make noise about it. But what is certain, the MOU that is really circulating online is not authentic. Even the language used for me is not professional at all. It's not.
Yes. Recently we've been having a lot of problems in this country, false news, false information, circulating things that are not real. Aliu, let's take a look at APRC as a party. Don't you think Gambians are still clinging, you know, in the past of APRC's government? That's why forming a coalition with NPP becomes a problem. Let's take a look at APRC. They still remain to be the biggest party in the country. Gambia, yes, one of the biggest party in the Gambia. So Gambia, do you think a single party can win elections?
That's absolutely no. This coming election, I can tell you there is no single party that can win the polls. And that's why, believe it or not, all the parties are now doing what they call the underground coalition talks. And before the nomination by late October or early November, you will realize that so many parties will form coalition. Okay. There is no single party that can win the polls.
So we'll be having double coalitions
and
here.
You have to understand, already NPP is not just forming coalition with APRC. APRC is just joining them. Well, we already have other parties that are in coalition with NPP. You have the NRP, you have the GPDP, you have the NCP.
You know, my reason of asking this question, why so much noise about APRC while we have other parties that have already formed coalition with the NPP?
So that's what I don't really understand. But then the fact is, I mean, perhaps because there's a Jame. Yeah, but then, like I said, I mean, people should really separate Jame from the party. Okay, Jame might be the supreme leader of the party and all that, but then the party is a legally registered party, and like any other party, they have the right to form coalition with another party. Perhaps it is NPP that they have formed coalition with, but who knows? Maybe other parties have also approached APRC. Okay. Maybe because they have joined NPP, that's why the noise is too much, and because it's the president. But then I'm sure if they have joined other parties, they will have embraced them. You believe it or not, like Jennifer said, APRC still remains one of the biggest parties. Someone out there might think, okay, APRC is no more, but I mean, don't make fool of yourself. APRC still has supporters who really
anyway, okay, moving on, like you mentioned, their coalition talks underground. Some of them are not so facing yet. But let's just say that when parties come together, it might mean something to Ibrahima and it might not mean that to Aliu. Exactly. But as I always say, it's just left to the public to make their own decision when it comes to these things. You have your voter's card and you are the one that is going to the polls to vote. So it's left to you. We're just here to guide you and give you information as they happen.
Exactly. So, yes. It is not for any political party to dictate to Jennifer or Bande who to vote for. You are watching, you know what you want, and it's your voter's card, you decide. So you are going to vote. Exactly. So at the end of the day, for me, but like I said, the MOU that is currently circulating on the social media is not authentic. Yes. People should really disregard it, especially for our colleagues who are always in hurry, without even confirming, doing that fact check and all that. Yes. And it's good sometimes when you see this thing, you try to do your fact check and understand how authentic that document is before you just go on the social media or go on your airwaves and just say, okay, this is
exactly.
You know, I think false information.
Let's do away with the copy and pasting. We get authentic information.
Yeah,
so I think politics.
We are in a time that we cannot afford to make mistakes.
Yes,
so whatever we put out there, so authentic, and then that's why it's always important that you fact check.
And definitely we don't have to compromise the peace that we have in this country. Elections is coming and it's a very sensitive moment for all of us.
Jennifer, so I think that is important, and I think misinformation itself is a pandemic of its own because it's global and we're all suffering from it. So moving on, you talked about peace and stability. Let's take a look at what is happening in Guinea. As coup in Guinea, Alpha Conde, we're getting reports that he's been arrested and detained, but there's something quite funny that I'm seeing currently when it comes to people's reaction to this. I see some people celebrating the fact that he has been detained and arrested. He's been arrested and detained. And let's also remember that at some point, this is a democratically elected government. Let's put that aside. In as much as we feel he's a dictator and there are things that he's not doing right, this is the case. So what's your take on that? Do you think it's fair that there are a lot of celebrations in relation to him being arrested and detained? Because this might be the narrative every single time if we feel like coup is the way forward at some point in 2021.
Yeah, I think for me, some people are celebrating because they think Kande has been there since 2010.
Yes.
And because perhaps he has overstayed at some point, he has changed the constitution to prolong his stay, and people think, yes, I mean, this was the only opportunity or option they had to remove him. But like you said, they have to understand he was also elected in an election and democratically elected. I would say others will say no, he wasn't democratically. Perhaps he had manipulated.
But we don't have evidence. It's not in front of us.
So for me, I don't think people who are celebrating that are really doing any good to to the continent, because this is really taking us back as far as our move towards achieving democracy is concerned. Don't say I'm being biased here, but I think the French colonists are really taking up these cool things so serious now. We just saw Mali not long ago, and now we're having Guinea. So it's not really the way forward. And then now Doumbouya, who actually led the Mamadi Doumbouya, who actually led the coup now, is that Condé is now under custody. What is going to happen next for Guinea? It's going to be interesting.
And that's because, Aliou, you know what's funny? When these military come and say they're doing this for country and they want to change the narrative, most of the time they don't want to go back to the barracks.
That has been the case, even in the case of Mali. You understand when that happened, and then, you know, there was a civilian transition government. There was another coup.
It didn't work.
He was removed, and then, you know, the army has to take over, and now, you know, they are going to stay at the affairs of Mali for the next 18 months. By January next year or February, they have to go to election. But then, like you said, I'm not for saying this current military actually going back to the barracks. I'm not for saying it, because like I said, from experience, we have seen anytime when they take over, they always want to stay. So, but then the coup for me is not really constitutional, even whereas they don't like Kande. He has been there for many years. I mean, but they should have just wait for the polls to remove him. Even whereas there are things that are not right, it is not for the military.
But the argument is the polls cannot be used as well.
But then for people, it's okay, he has been there, now there is no option.
For many,
military is only option now.
Aliou, coup is not allowed, like especially a democratic elected government. African presidents, most of them, I think they should learn now. Term limit is also very important, Aliou. Should we wait for you to be removed by the gun, Aliou?
Well, that will depend, because the thing is that most of these contests now they have term limits, right? Maybe there are just few that are without term limit. But even that also, it depends on the people who vote, because the people decide. Right, so that thing is one thing that we really have to consider. But the issue of time limit is quite important. But one thing I always tell people, you see, it is always easy to sit outside and talk about time limit. But once you get into that place, I mean, you see a different whole thing. Power is sweet, that I can tell you. Power is sweet. So that's the fact. That's the fact. But then it is important that, you know, we try to promote the issue of term limit. It's quite relevant as far as, you know, promoting democracy is
well, I listened to the Doumbouya on one of their TV stations. He said he's here to at least restore what we call democracy in Guinea again, and at the same time make sure he help his people. The living condition is crazy in Guinea, and people are suffering. Don't you think this is just a way of approaching the people to win their confidence?
Already, I know he must have won the confidence of so many Guineans, especially those who were on the opposing side of Kande. But as you can see right now, we have seen the ECOWAS, the AU, even the Gambia government issuing statement to condemn what is happening in Guinea. Even Nigeria has also condemned strongly, you know, the move by the military to remove Kande. Even though, like Yanaba said, I mean, they would say he has overstayed, but for me, it is really unconstitutional. But like you said, those are things they use just to impress the people that, you know, they are coming into change. But then,
and Aliou, another thing that has been said several times is that the ECOWAS and the EU are very quick to respond or condemn issues as such. But when citizens come out to say that this particular election have been rigged, we do not hear them come out with statements supporting citizens or pushing for some sort of investigation. That has also been put out there, that they do not respond when citizens actually need them, but when head of states are affected, they're so quick to respond or condemn. What do you think about that? This
is something that people will always debate. I mean, I met with colleagues sometime in Abuja, and then we were debating the same thing about this, you know, ECOWAS being more like a Kabudu thing, you know, they try to protect
it's just them.
each other. But then, I mean, I would tend to disagree somehow. In the case of Gambia, in 2016, when Jammeh lost the election and then he wanted to annul the results, we saw ECOWAS coming out clearly and saying, you know what, you know, you lost the election, you have to go. So for me, it depends. Like in the case of Jammeh, I mean, it was democratic election where he was defeated and he has to go. But in the case of Guinea, military taking over, I mean, ECOWAS cannot in any way say, okay, that was right. Cool.
We're not expecting ECOWAS or AU to say what that was right. But ECOWAS or AU citizens are saying that sometimes when it's based on citizens' needs, they don't respond. But when it's based on head of state, like the Kabudu you're talking about, then they would respond.
Well,
how about that?
And that's an allegation.
That's a point. In most cases, it's only maybe the human rights activists the International Watch and you name them, those are the people who normally come out to issue statement about some of the human rights violations happening in those countries. Yeah. But then in most cases, ECOWAS or the AU, you hardly hear a statement trying to condemn a particular head of state for perhaps, some sort of human rights violation happening in those countries. It's a point that, someone will agree with.
Yeah.
But then, but in the issue of coup,
the issue of coup, obviously, we expect the EU and ECOWAS to come and condemn it in totality, because it shouldn't be the narrative at all. So moving on, you are a parliament reporter. I can say you are the one that normally represents us at the parliament. You further gone to also represent us at the ECOWAS parliament recently. So I guess parliament is your thing. And Gambia, the National Assembly, to commence third ordinary session today. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to a quite interesting session. I know a lot is on the table. The anti-corruption bill, I understand, is coming. The pension service bill is also on the agenda. So definitely, I'm looking forward to a quite interesting session this time. We also having the SONA that's on Thursday.
What are you looking forward to from President Barrow's speech? What are you predicting?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to perhaps, because it's election year, so definitely I'm looking forward to a more, progressive statement from the president, knowing the fact that we are going into election, but also try to look back at what has been the achievements of his government, but also challenges, because every achievement comes with challenges. Certainly, there are some challenges that his government has encountered, and I'm sure he's going to use this opportunity, to share with Gambians what has been his major achievement in the last year. But like I said, the challenges as well. So we are looking forward to hearing from him, and then, we will see.
All right, and starting from today, if any company is selling cigarettes and does not put on the cigarette that smoking kills, you can't sell it effective today. That is what I've seen on the papers, So do you think this can be implemented at some point? Because I still see children going to shops to buy cigarettes, and according to law, children are not supposed to buy these things. You're not supposed to sell it to an individual who's below 18. So implementation is a general problem anyway.
It should be implementable to me. Because I don't know when has that started, having cigarette packs without smoking kills. I don't smoke, but then anytime when I see those cigarette packs, I see smoking kills.
Sure.
I don't know when has that changed, but then that has been the
has been
the international practice anywhere you go in the world. Yeah. But then, like you said, the issue of sending children or kids to go and buy a cigarette, for me, is something that I have never supported, and I think it is something that the government should really help address, because we need to promote having kids smoking. But like you said, it's important that this is implemented so that people can know actually smoking kills.
Yeah, it should.
Absolutely.
And considering the fact that lung health right now in the Gambia is not something that is given a lot of attention anyway. Exactly. And I know there's some certain studies underway to actually try to examine lung health in the Gambia and how support can be brought from the international community to here. I'm aware of that study ongoing currently.
It's very harmful. So smoking, for me, I don't encourage anyone to smoke, but it's very harmful. But then one thing that is also certain is that, the police or the government or the health ministry alone cannot do it all.
Well,
so what we need now is the public to report any case of this sort of, on label cigarette packs to the authorities, that somebody is selling cigarette and it's not labeled. So I think with that, then you'll be able to help.
It's a collective responsibility.
Exactly. Because they're everywhere.
Sometimes it even starts at the homes. Like parents. If you smoke in front of your children, it's a problem. They might take it as a normal thing.
Yeah, as a normal thing.
Yeah, so it's important for you, because you can go to the shop and even see a child of 5 years to come and buy cigarette. Which is a problem. Some of them will start smoking at that age,
which is very unfortunate. Sometimes you even go to the schools. You see some of these students, hanging around the fence, smoking. I'm like, what? Some of them not just cigarette.
Yeah.
They even smoke marijuana.
Yeah. Most of them think smoking is badness.
Yeah. But anyway, like we said, it's a collective responsibility. It starts from the home, and also let's not just blame the kids. Sometimes some of these kids are depressed. the home is not a safe space for them anymore. It's the streets. So it's it comes with a lot of things. So yeah, we're just hoping that all of us will be responsible and just watch out for each other's back.
Exactly.
So I'm afraid we might have to keep you for our community watch. That's what I strongly believe. So we'll just take a look at the community watch video, and when we come back, you'll accompany us in relation to talking about it. So let's take a look at the community watch video, and we'll be right back.
We'll see the $187 million project will see the construction of 5 new health clinics in Mankamankunda in URR, Sare Julde, Tumana district in URR, Jalikiang West in LRR, and Salikenye and Kisima Jau in the North Bank region. At each center, the project will include the construction of a maternity and admission ward, an outpatient block, senior and junior staff quarters, kitchen and laundry, a generator room, an elevated concrete water tank, a solar borehole, pedestrian pavement, and a perimeter wall to be built within 6 months. Speaking at the signing ceremony, the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Health, Lamin Damfa, says quality and affordable healthcare delivery system is a key concern to the government of the Gambia. He says the Ministry of Health, under the leadership of Health Minister Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, has assessed various health centers in the country to improve their quality. He says the renovation process in some of these health centers has already started, and explains why the government invested huge amounts of money for the construction of these health facilities.
The reason why government is investing such huge amount of money is because we want to improve healthcare services in this country, which is very key. No country can develop without taking care of the health of your own people. If you cannot do that, it's going to be very difficult for you to develop. And in recognition of this fact, government has decided to invest a lot in the health sector.
Representing the Director General of GAMWorks, Alaji Babukar Jabang, the Finance and Admin Director at GAMWorks, thanked the Ministry of Health for always entrusting them with government's project, while assuring them of a quality and timely delivery of the project. He says GAMWorks has already subcontracted the work to 5 Gambian construction companies who were the successful bidders, and explained the construction details of the clinics.
They are in five lots. Lot 1 is signed with Tanzil Company. Lot 2 will be signed with Buffett Enterprise. Lot 3 with Wecan Construction. Lot 4 with Gambel, and Lot 5 with Gaj Construction.
Ibrahim Acham, GAMWorks Special Advisor, also added his voice to those speaking about the significance of this project.
I think this is a very important milestone because, as the Acting Director General has said, these are very important clinics, these 5 new clinics. And as we all agree, health is a priority for everybody, for every Gambian actually. And for us to be, the Ministry of Health to be signing these contracts today, really I think it's an important milestone, because these 5 clinics will really have a huge impact in the communities that they will be located.
The project, which is awarded to Gambian construction companies, will not only improve the health system in these 5 identified communities, but it will also create over 300 jobs for young people. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
Welcome back from that video. That was our community watch. 5 health facilities to be built. I know you're very passionate about reporting about health. So what do you think in relation to this? How do you think this will at least ease the burden on the health sector?
Well, it is quite important. I welcome this move by the government for the Minister of Health to construct 5 health facilities across the country. But then it couldn't have come at a better time, knowing the fact that in the past, I mean, people have always complained about the lack of health facilities in some communities. I mean, I have traveled with the president in previous nationwide tours, and anywhere he goes, I mean, people tend to complain more about, you know, the lack of health facilities, and these were some of the promises that he had made to them, that his government is quite committed to the health sector, that his government was going to build health facilities in some communities, and even provides what we call community ambulances, to help ease the movement of patients. So for me, it is a welcome development. I mean, health is very important. And generally, if you go to the provinces and you see the current state of some of the health facilities there, it is quite concern for me and anyone who have been going there. So I'm just looking forward to having these projects being implemented in time. And then the good thing is that we have seen now all the 5 health facilities have been allocated to different contractors, including Guy Construction. So I'm quite looking forward to the completion of these projects and then a subsequent inauguration. But in a nutshell, it's a welcome move, and then we just have to commend the government for actually fulfilling one of the promises that the president has given to the people of rural Gambia during his visits.
Okay, let's take a look at the geographical nature of some of the health facilities. He mentioned Mankamankunda, and Mankamankunda is not far from Basse. Most referrals are done in Bansang. How will this benefit that area? We have the how to call it, the village after Mankamankunda. How is it called again? Bagadaji. Yes.
Yes, for me, it is a good location. I mean, you might say Mankamang isn't far from Basse, but it's quite far. I mean, from Mankamang to Basse, it will take you almost around 30 minutes to drive. So for me, it is, you don't only have to look at the distance from Mankamang to Basse, but then the surrounding communities, the community that surround Mankamang Kunda. So for me, it doesn't matter where the health facility is. Mankamankunda, I mean, people will say, okay, it's the president's home village, but it's also part of the Gambia. They are Gambians like any other community. So for me, the most important is that this health facility is available for the people of that area, and they are going to make best use of it. For me, that's the most important thing. It is not about where exactly it is located. The impact it will have on the people, it is what is more important for me as far as this whole project is
so
concerned.
Ali, talking about impact, constructing these health facilities is one thing, but also ensuring that we have more doctors and more nurses is also important. I see that we also have ambulances. We have procured 80 ambulances. We're about to construct 5 health facilities. But the government should also look into ways in which they can build capacities, because erecting the hospital is one thing, but what about the people, the capacity?
Yeah, I mean, you are right. It is one thing to have the structures there, but it is another thing to have the medical items.
It's sort of an access and quality
and the personnel that are needed. And I'm sure the government through the ministry must have really considered that in the first place before they even start this project. That you cannot just have this standard structures there and then you don't have the medical equipment and the needed personnel to really run that health facility. So I'm sure that is something that they must have been that they are considering right now. But then the other thing is that there's a challenge that I can tell you as far as the Ministry of Health is concerned. You see, most of these health personnel, they don't want to go to the provinces. Right? And I think that's one area that the ministry should really try to work on to encourage people to go back and serve their communities.
But the question is how lucrative, what are some of the benefits, what are the incentives? Why are these people saying they don't want to go to the communities? We also have to take a look at that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said, the ministry should really see how best, they will be able to encourage these people to go back and serve their communities. And with that, is it going to help? But like I said, I mean, with these projects, I'm sure they are considering having the needed medical equipment and health personnel to be able to effectively run these facilities. But in a nutshell, like I said, this is a welcome development. This is a welcome development, and I think it's one step at a time. Development doesn't just happen overnight; it's a gradual process.
Well,
and slowly,
I'm seeing a very positive direction. People are moving towards a positive direction. But if you look at the construction of routes that are happening, these will all connect to certain health facilities. So it will ease the transport of a patient from a village to the hospital. So if there were no good routes too, it will be very difficult to access these hospitals, but as far as there are good routes now, I think it will be easier.
Around those areas.
Exactly. I think the issue of the road networks, I mean, is quite linked to the health facilities, because if the structures are there and then access is a problem, then that's not a problem. But like you said, I mean, the current road projects that are happening in the provinces are quite impressive. I mean, I was there some weeks ago, and then there's a huge progress as far as those sort of projects are concerned. But even in the case of, for example, if you go to URR, I mean, you remember then driving from Basse to Fatoto will have taken you almost 2 hours, 3 hours. I drove from Basse to Fatoto in less than 30 minutes.
Okay, that's good news.
In less than 30
and
minutes.
Also,
so,
I think
it's important.
And I also think that the fact that these health facilities are being constructed by Gambians, it's a good thing, which means at least some of these projects are coming back to us.
It will still remain here.
Yes, and we will take ownership of it in a way, which is also a good thing.
I think that's one thing. I could remember interviewing the president at one of his outings, and this is something that he really emphasized, that he really wants to promote indigenous, enterprises to be doing most of these local projects. And then I think this is one step towards that. I mean, we have companies here that can deliver. Exactly. So it is always good to encourage them and give them this kind of projects. And we hope they will also take advantage. I mean, when you are giving this sort of projects, you should take advantage. You are a Gambian like all of us, so you should really be committed to the project and ensure that you provide quality project to the people. And I hope they will take advantage, because I mean, it's not easy for government to give this sort of multi-million projects, and you want to take advantage and then try to do whatever you want. So I hope they will really take it serious.
It's time for them to prove themselves, because most people have been complaining of assigning particular projects to foreigners. So this time it's your time to prove this.
Yeah, and I think with the passing of the Access to Information Bill, because they're private sector, it doesn't mean that we cannot question them. In as much as we are private sector, but because it is taxpayer money, we can also ask for information in relation to how you spend the money and all of that. So I think with the coming of the Access to Information
with the coming of the Access to Information Bill, I've seen so many people are celebrating about this Access to Information Bill. I've been following this bill at the Parliament from the first day it was read at the Parliament during Abubakar Tambado's time. But one thing people need to understand, I mean, this is just one step, right? It's a good move. The President has assented to it. But then there's much more to be done in order for us to really start having the information that we need. Because according to the Act, it's an Act now, all these departments must have qualified information officers who are going to handle all this information. So that's a process. The process is on. So you cannot just jump today and go to perhaps maybe GPA or GRA and say, I want this information. The structures have to be there in the first place for you to be able to access this information. So I think it's a process.
Thank you so much, Ali Cisse. Thank you for joining us on the Newspaper Review as well as the Community Watch. It's always good to have you here for some reason. And I think we've already ate up the social issues time, but it was worth it. Thank you so much for joining us. So viewers, we will take a short commercial break and take a look at this video. This video has to do with preparations toward the State of the Nation Address 2021. So let's take a look at that, and when we come back, the program continues.
Once again, it is my honor and pleasure to deliver this annual address to the honorable members of this august assembly. On my government's performance during the course of the last legislative year. Today, my address presents the successes and challenges of a country that was on a steep rise towards economic boom and socio-political transformation when the unexpected struck. This was the sudden outbreak and rapid spread of the coronavirus, COVID-19. It is an address which attempts to duly highlight my government's achievements and the ever-increasing devastation and impact of the pandemic on the economy and life in the Gambia.
Welcome back, viewers, from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. I am your host, Jennifer Sonko. I'm joined by my co-host, Ibrahim Abalde. Thank you so much to Ali Cisse for joining us on the newspaper review as well as the Community Watch segment. So like I mentioned before we went for the break, we'll be talking about preparations toward the State of the Nation Address 2021. And we are joined by Jibairu Jane, Director of Communications at the National Assembly, as well as Uncle Modu Juve, to help us, tell us how the preparations have been so far. So, Mr. Jane, I'm not being biased here, but I'm about to start with media access. You know, how the preparation in relation to media, how are you working towards ensuring that we get what we need as media houses?
Thank you very much, Geneva, and thank you very much, QTV, for giving us once again this opportunity to talk to the Gambian people about preparations for the State of the Nation address. Yeah. I think it has now become a family affair. Annually, we are always here to talk about what the plans are. And you've started with the media access.
Yeah, I'm not being biased here, but
yes.
why not?
But it's necessary, right?
Why not? But be rest assured, the National Assembly is the people's house.
Yeah.
And in fact, by right, what our wish is and what should have been the norm is that an occasion like this, because this is not a political fanfare, this is not any other jamboree, this is a constitutionally charged function. Section 77, Shub 1 mandates the president to address the legislature on the administration of the republic and policies of the government. Yeah. So, because the National Assembly chamber is relatively very small, every Gambian cannot go in there. Okay. So we are quite aware that by virtue of the fact that the chamber cannot accommodate everyone, then everyone should be entitled to know what happens in there. Okay. So the media, don't be scared. Okay. You are having uninterrupted access.
Okay, that's good to know.
But the chamber is relatively very small. Okay. And obviously the media organizations in the country are more. So it is a first come, first half basis. Oh, okay. So accreditation cards beginning today will be issued by the Office of the Clerk for media organizations and journalists who are interested to cover the event. Okay. And we will be issuing that accreditation until Wednesday. I'm
happy you said uninterrupted. That is what I was looking for. Ibrahima.
Yes. So what are some of the preparations? What do you expect from media houses if they come? What do you want them to do? Let us talk about the sitting positions. Let us talk about maybe getting ready to get the information from the president.
Well, we know that the media needs to have a comfortable spot. Unfortunately, the National Assembly chamber does not have a press gallery. So what we usually do with the media is to allow them use the last aisle, just right behind, the aisle just behind the National Assembly members, so that they will be able to get their cutaways and their pointed cameras to extract information from the president. But as I said, you have a couple of television stations, you have a couple of radio stations, and of course the print usually don't have that problem. So we will accommodate as much cameras as possible.
Most people also are saying this year's event is going to be different. It's going to be an event with a different. How is it going to be different from the previous one?
I am not quite sure what whether I understand what you mean by it's going to be different. What we do know is that we are still in the COVID pandemic, and we are organizing this event, taking cognizance of the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 regulations. So we want to assure the public that in as much as we are inviting the public, hand-washing equipments are readily available at all entrances of the National Assembly. Hand sanitizers are available, and every invited guest must wear a face mask.
Okay.
The policy is no mask, no entry.
All right. So, Uncle Modu, ñu bëgg la dalal rek ci programme bi, because State of the Nation address tam nekk na loo xam ne dafa important, te bëggoon nañ tam suñ yaay ak suñ papa yi seetaan ci kër yi ñu xam lan mooy State of the Nation address ak accessibility bi bés boobu noonu ak yëpp. Mr Jane nag wax na ci lu bari, ñu bëgg tam nga sànni sa kaddu ci wàllu media access, as well as ñu seet rek State of the Nation address, its constitution baa ko wax ne président war na ko mën a def, waaye lan mooy njëriñam ñiy seetaan bés boobu lan lañ war a séentu.
Well, jërëjëf balaa maa ñëw foofu, I would want to just make an addition.
Wow, okay.
On the media arrangements, as we are in the task force, and during our last meeting, unfortunately he was absent. We discussed about the accessibility of, especially for feed, live feed for television station. The task force agreed that any television network that would want to carry the program can have their own feed, so that to avoid blame games on the order. So just to add on to that point. So
each media house is independent.
Independent can carry their feed.
Right.
If they want to link onto orders based on partnership, it's left to them.
That's what I mean. We will give them accommodate as much cameras as
because what we are avoiding, you hang on to network A, you have problems, and you say it is them. So now
it's open.
We've been having a lot of those things.
We've been in this field for how many years? We've known everything. We've seen everything. Even not talked about. So just to add on to that.
Okay, Uncle
and the timing too, sharp 8 a.m. We want all invited guests to be seated sharp 8 a.m. because the address will start 10 a.m. sharp on Thursday, 9th of September at the Assembly. So we just want to emphasize that.
Okay.
And one of the resolutions is that no face masks, no entry.
No entry.
Yeah. So that's very important.
It's very important.
And members of the press should also carry their press accreditation cards. And it's strictly based on first come, first serve.
Okay.
Because there are so many media institutions and houses that would want to access it, but because of also we cannot accommodate everybody, so the race will be there first come, first serve. So that in case if you and I happen to be late, you don't have any cause to
blame it on anyone.
You will raise the alarm, but you don't blame anybody except yourself, because often that most of the time in this country, timing is our problem. We tell people 10 o'clock, they show up at 12.
So if it's starting at 8 a.m.,
at least all guests should be seated
they should be there at least 7:30.
Well, you know the game.
At least 7:30, you should be there.
Well, at least even 6 a.m., you can be there with your coffee or whatever.
Okay, putting aside Gambian time, right?
Exactly, GMT, the Gambian time.
Okay, so Uncle Modu, Mala don't jema engage tam si local language because fok na ne dafa important tam pour hanga ñena so ne State of the Nation address dañu ne lan la te Mr Jane wax na ne tamit li du political jambori wala leneen li nga xam ne la constitution ba ko tegal pour président def ko so lan la nit ñi war a séentu.
waaw jërëjëf Jeynaba ci laajte bu bokki Gambie ñu ngi leen di nuyu ci QTV fii gërëm leen li ñu fi indi néegi député yi dañ tànn task force mooy kuréel boo xam ne nii ñoom ñoo war a saytu programme bu mag bi nga xam ne nii benn yoon la day am ci at mi. loolu moo di ne président réew mi His Excellency Adama Barrow luwaay réew mi moo ko ranga ci fànnaay juróom-ñaar fukk ak benn su ma fàttewut ne lu mu bon ci at mi benn yoon dina dem ci néegi député yi di pencum député yi gaaral fa kaddu kaddu gi lan mooy mébéti nguur gi lan mooy taxawaay nguur gi lan la nguur gi war a def naka lañ ko war a defee lan mooy texa yi waxtaan ko ci penc mi gannaaw député yi ñooñu fa nekkal loolu yoon moo loi moo ko may su ko mayee loolu nag loolu mooy state of nation address mooy askani réewi Gambie ni mu tëddoo li lalu ci wàlli nguur gi jomin bi naka la loolu la fa waxtaanee su ko waxtaanee nag dina dem li ci des mu bàyyee ko député yi nga xam ne ñooñu fa toogal ñoom ñu continuer seen gis-gis seen xalaat ak li ñoo wax ci li fa njiiti réew mi gaaral waaye loolu yëpp nag dafa am sarta yoo xam ne nii tëral nañ ko liñ ci tëral moo di ne ku faa ñëw dinañ la jox ay carte ngir ni ko jibaari waxee ne pencum réew mi ñëpp la ñun ñëpp a fa em bokk a em waaye nag wax dëgg yàlla place bi ni mu bindoo itam mënut a jël kombo gi rek wala biir dex gi mënut a jël ñëpp ci réew mi foog rek mu am yoo xam ne nii foofu lañ ko mun a jëfee ay pexe pour ñuy ñëw nag dina ci bokk dina leen jox ñetti façon yi carte di invitation card am nañ lu ñu xamee ci A B ak C A nag mooy borom nombo tànk yi mooy ñi nga xam ne nii ñoo di ministre yi ñi fi toogal seeni réew ak yeneen kilifa yoo xam ne nii borom nombo tànk yi ak ñi liggéey ci wàlle attekaay bi di jooji si nañ am carte su ñëwee ñun comité bi fa nekk dinañ leen won kenn ku ci nekk ak osa si fi nga war a dem carte bi mooy ci kaw mooy itam ku ko am soo ñëwee dinañ la won fi nga war a dem nga jël sa toogu te bugg nañ juróom-ñetti waxtu ci suba kuñ jox carte nga teew am na itam beneen carte boo xam ne ni carte C pour loolu ñi nga xam ne ni mënuñoo dugg ci biir ci suuf ak ci kaw dinañ leen defal mbaar bu jekk boo xam ne comité bi gis nañ ne itam daf dee taw ci nawet lañ nekk mun ngaa def mbaar gërë ngi ñëw wala taw bi ñëw ni ñi tooy waaye liñ def mooy dañoo dem mbaar boo xam ne ni dafa muuru yëpp ba pare dañ fa am screen di télévision bu mag boo xam ne nii lépp luy xew ci biir néegi député yow soo fa toogee di nga ko mun a dégg di ko gis loolu mooy jubluwaay bi te loolu soxla nañ kuñ ci yóbbu jox sa karta juróom-ñetti waxtu ci suba lu mu néew ne war ngaa toog ngir président fukki waxtu laa commencé programme bi ñun nag ndeysaan Gambia dañ miin kuñ ne fukki waxtu nga ñëw fukki waxtoo ñaar lii ñun ñëpp suñ jikko la te foog naa yooyu dañ ci war a génn léegi ci gàttal daal loolu mooy matuwaay yi nga xam ne ni jël nañ ko te xam nañ ni itam comme ni ko jibaari waxee ci jamono Covid-19 bi la jàngoro jàng fi génn gut fi mu ngi ci àddina si mu ngi ci réew mi et loolu tax na face mask yi kenn ku ci nekk kuy ñëw na nga takka sa bos comme ni ma defee nii soo gisee sax ma génnee ko nii pour studio bi pour waxen bi gën a mën a leer rek moo tax waaye foo ma gis rek ñaareel maa ngi ko amee soo lii sentu nañ kuy ñëw takka face mask te hand sanitizer li nit ñi di setalee seen loxo yi dina fa nekk pour ñun ñëpp ñu gën a mucca daal ngir mbir la loo xam ne ni mënut a ñàkk am foog mu am gannaaw nag dafa am foog itam matuwaay yi nga xam ne ni moo ànd ak Covid bi ñu jël yooyu déglu xerewlu déglu président bi wax nañ affaire yi media bi mooy ñiy tas xibaar moo xam ñi amee kayit di binda la ñi amee radio la ñi amee télévision loo munti loolu itam seen matuwaay jël nañ ko mooy kuy ñëw foog ngir wàlli kaaraange la du sécurité bi duñ nelaw rek gis ne man maay diw rek maa jógee ci place angam gàddu sa caméra wala sa notebook reporter la wala journaliste la rek ñu bàyyi la noonu lu nekk dafa am yoon ak teggin foo munti kër goo munti dem loolu moo fa nekk loolu tax nag kaaraange gi dina fa nekk waaye pour gën a setal loolu yëpp am nañ lu ñu xamee ci accréditation card presse mooy presse card wala lu munti doon waaw fi mu nekk ni na fii ba àllarba ku ñëw dinañ la jox su ko defee su bés ba nga ñëw taka wala yaa xam ni nga ko indi suñ ne la yow jeena ba Sonko presse nga dugga balde noonu et cetera waaye nag loolu itam carte itam dajut ñëpp xalangu dajut suuf moo tax nag force comme force saf ki njëkk a ñëw rek ni nga njëkk a ñëw noonu lañ leen naa joxe ku ci naagu nag amatul dara loo cee lay naan dama dem ñu aaye ma non kenn aayewut kenn waaye ni dayo bi am dañ ko amal te foog rek mu am fu mu commencé am itam fu moo em
oncle Modou loolu set na maanaam kaddu yi yëpp leer na pour mbaadi mandinkoolu mel ba jibe kan katum ñimmum mbela kuwolte laftale yaafoñe domanding mune mo state of the nation address ti andum albe pareringa kamma bakele domandin fo mool yeñintu
baraka balle baadin banku ɗum kolu QTV ngal konton ke tento ye wato min di kato député bungola alpha min ɓe marariŋa la ye nsafo kamen ko task force wala mo committee ti nka fo ñam ye wala tombon yen tol dol bulandi wo kono pour ka démarro ke beŋola min ñanta kela ara mi sannala septembre karotili kononto député bungoto talan kononto min ñanta topoto la pour tol nga wo kuwol ñing topoto to nin jibayru comité be janjan nin karobe la biring wati lambe wala kono ka molu fahamni mimbe caring ni ala sonta ninko state opening of the nation address by the president wala banko president mi yalon ko banko loi maral kitabo ni mimi constitution o nyinti ay nyine kango diala ngamira fanna tan woro wala nin kilinjango nyinto nimma nyina ko adoyata nyawonya sinya killing asina na député bungoto ase danteje dantero munete abe kachala banko mansakunda tamandirnya kolu lanya firon minu be kering irwa do kol minu be kela anyanta kela nyaadile kole yal minu ba kunna to la kato ko be man sone ya eta fono la ko don chak nyimu nyinete do nga beta ay timma fo tañato sen ko mole banko do ko be wala nyama fay nyim be yitandi na tombo molla minu be sirigne banta bato mimu député bungoti na banta bitun wotole député sina continuer ala kacani ila miraro minti ila kumakaw minti ila korosiro minti ya ko tentindi ka kacandi fo wolsina ke sartol timin ya lonko mansakunda be tamalo la president baroni ala sonta nying arami sanala talantang abe kacani datila bari talang sey sulata momondi min ya lonko ye kumandi bengo nyintoje se la sidulalu ta katu kube na tuma jandun dalita watola nin ko mole talanta ye na finti talanta nin fula ngamira sayin fana nganta jeji belale nin ko talantan nem betun talan say carte dita momola kayto dita momola ni minu fana lafta nala hani kaydite bulu bari screen ba television ba be tarla banta pour fana salon katu banko molla nyantolem ila hakolem ka long munebe folaje ka lamoy fo idabe je fo idate je bari talem ila hakolem nyanta talal yata ila nyantole imata yela nyantole tuje ya lamoy ila hakole ila nyantole ima lamoy yela hakoni nyanto ye wala tuje nyabe nyine
onko modu fendo bije me yalon ko akuma yata bake katu ngalo ne state of the nations address president woni aka kenin angalel mol bije le mil baka na sur la bang nim programme woni tata fa banta
ha wotuta kibar do ko bundal le to minube tarlaje fa radio fa television niyata faala kuma kan fo angale kawto bitum bunda o bunda min bije na diyate yela jibayru kumandi yela mandika kam fola asa kumo yitandi baadi mandika wala fula wala surwa wala kawokan katu banko nyin kanjanga krosi dol minu be nyin kibar janjam bunda to nga kolya ko min soto wala mu banko kawti e banko dol to kan killing ne tubabu kan fo don woye mobe wasale wala ila banko la kan killing yewo fo do yewo wasa bari jang bu kawo keno ni kan killing fo drong na banko kangol to jang fo ya sindi dolmani mobe ka fole ko ma moya nyanta na womun na kolya ko so wo ka pour que la ko mo nyi jabi wotuta kibar janjam bundale to minubi je ka di molla ni baro yala kumo be dante angale counter betu ni talafta yata ya fo fula kawla jeda ba ya fo jola kawla de nga fo serer kawla ya fo mandika kawla etc
alaji modu ka la fadro do sa fo ko bari abe diamala banko molle mine akinna amam kando na local la mandin ko wala jola wala fulo wala angale kawlo mo Gambia la official language so wala mo county minka for Gambia la député so ni momo nata je ibe fasi diamoning angale kawlo
so I think
bare ninde mo député de mbeje kelela nga loi donde min ben na banko kawol fo na député bu carte fayla no siata man angale kawol
yalo
njaran kamale man angale kawol
ani bare si wajabi nola ani janaba
and Mr. Jan, I think like you mentioned it is the responsibility of media houses to actually translate these things. Exactly. So we will take ownership in relation to that. We have our local news languages that we do. So we will do that.
Exactly.
But also there's something very important that I just want to know is that is there a sign language interpreter that is put in place to make sure that deaf people can get information in relation to this?
This is incredibly a very important question, particularly at the time that we are celebrating Deaf Awareness Month.
Sure.
And I think, Alaji Modu, we need to take this back to the task force so that
a sign language interpreter.
It can be looked into if it has not already been done.
All right.
Yeah,
I think it is important that I raise this then.
I think that is, and I'm happy that you really raised it, because I am supporting my colleagues in that community.
All right.
Raising awareness on deaf awareness, and I'm really happy that.
We are taking this opportunity to wish all deaf individuals a happy Sign Language Month as well as Deaf Awareness Month. It is very important that we also take ownership of their plight. So we will take a short commercial break. Thank you so much, Uncle Maud Juve, as well as Jubai Rajana, Director of Communications, National Assembly. We'll take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will head right on to the sports update. We'll be joined by our colleague, Momodu Gajaga, to take us through what is happening in the world of sports. So do stay tuned.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
To build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With a touch of your fingers,
With ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
Send mobile money service boo leen gën a tàmm defati nañ ko de léegi mun ngaa jënd cash power ak sa Q Money account te doo ci fay dara waaw te doo ci fay dara gënu ta yomba lu jarut dara commencé leen jënd seen cash power si waxtu bu leen neex te doo leen si am benn jafe-jafe ak service yu leen Q Money amal ak Q Money yombalal sa àddina doxantul si Q Money agent bu leen gën a jege pour dugal xaalis wala ngeen call customer care ci 133 pour xam lu gën a leer bu leen fàtte pour raxas seen loxo ak saabu saa yoo leen jëfandikoo xaalis toogal sa kër setal aaral sa boppa Q Money suñu kalpe ñun ñoo xaala yoon bi ñeneen toppa
Want more in your bundle? At QCell, the biggest, fastest, and most reliable mobile operator, we've got you covered with Sunyu Bundle. With Sunyu Bundle, dial *303# and get the bundle of your choice. Sunyu Bundle, affordable, fast, and reliable. QCell, we innovate, others follow.
from that break. You're watching QTV this morning. Now we will head right on to the sports update. Thanks for joining us, Mamadou Gajaga.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, and it's a pleasure being here to talk about sports. Well, we are going to start in Guinea as events unfolding there about the coup yesterday, Sunday. It has really affected football because apparently the game in the World Cup qualifiers between Morocco and Guinea, the host, was meant to be played today, but now the match has been postponed because of events unfolding in Guinea about the military takeover. And it appears that no time or date has been given whether the match is going to be replayed and where and how, under which circumstances. Well, for Morocco, the Atlas Lions, they were moved out of the country unscathed. That is, no player was hurt. But it is really something that has affected them, their morals and everything. And they really feared for their lives, the entire national team. But later on, they were escorted out of the country unharmed. So that is it for Morocco versus Guinea in the World Cup qualifiers for Africa. But matches continued on Sunday. We've witnessed Gabon playing against Egypt. It was a home match for Gabon, and they were held at home by Egypt 1-1. And this is a match in which Gambian match officials were involved. That is Bakary Papa Gassama, Abdulaziz Bolel Jao, Mfali Jaju, and as well as Lamin Jammeh. So all the 4 officials were from the Gambia that officiated this Gabon versus Egypt match in the World Cup qualifiers for Africa. It was a home match for Gabon, but the match ended 1-1. Still on the African qualifiers for the World Cup Qatar 2022, in another match, it was Rwanda and Namibia, and that match also ended 1-1 between the two sides. And now the big story also in South America, but this one has to do with COVID. Brazil and Argentina, the biggest rivalry in football, if you can think of, or maybe in South America. The two teams got onto the field. After 5 minutes of playing, some officials from Brazil came onto the pitch, stopped the match, and they want to ensure that 3 of the players are not involved. Well, the story is this. 3 of the 4 players in the Argentina team were from England. And according to the local regulations about COVID in Brazil, it is that when you're from a red hot country or a red spot country like England, if you come to Brazil, you have to quarantine for 14 days. So normally the players should not have been involved in the match, but apparently the game kicked off and the Brazilian officials came. They said the match had to be stopped because the players had to leave the pitch. They had to go under quarantine, and after 14 days, they will be deported back to their country in Argentina, which didn't happen. Well, the 2 captains spoke and match officials were trying to normalize the situation, but at the end of the day, the players walk off the pitch and the match was later postponed, and FIFA would be making a statement about whether to replay the game and when is it going to fit into the FIFA window, because it's very tight in the World Cup qualifiers. So these are some of the big stories that we have, Jennifer.
Mamadou Gajaga, is it normal for officials to come at that dying time to stop the match? Is that a normal thing in the world of football?
It's not normal. Well, maybe this is like the first time something like that is happening as far as COVID is concerned. But these days in football, COVID is being used as a weapon. You remember when the Gambia faced Gabon, the airport incident, when the Gabon players came with their, PCR test, COVID results, initially they refused to show their results, and all the drama that unfolded, leading to the game being, almost delayed and all of that. So I think recently it has been used a lot. Players to go on the quarantine, players have tested positive, they should not be involved in the match. So a whole situation has emerged as far as football is concerned when it comes to COVID-19.
What will happen to Guinea-Conakry is it Tunisia?
Guinea-Conakry and
yes, Morocco. They didn't play their World Cup qualifier. What will happen if this match did not play due to the coup?
Well, they apparently have options. That is to play the match in a neutral ground, because the situation in Guinea apparently is not is very volatile at the moment. So it's going to be very, very difficult to play any match there until when things calm down, which in the FIFA window, which is very, very tight at the moment. So they will have to look for options of playing the match in a neutral ground, or maybe even play both matches in Morocco if the Guinean officials also agree to that?
It's unfortunate for Guinea Geneva because if you are to play a game like that, you have to be mentally prepared.
Sure.
If a coup is happening in your country, it will be a very difficult time.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So, Mamadou Kajaga, is that all on today's new sports
Yes,
update?
definitely. That's all we have for you in the sports update.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, Ibrahima.
Yes.
I'm afraid that is all we have time for in this edition of QTV this morning. Who dressed you today, or did you pick this out on your own?
It's H Closet.
H Closet
Hussein.
again?
Yes.
Okay.
He does this thing almost every day.
All right.
So he is never tired of doing it.
I know, right? And my jacket is from Barcelona Fashion, this white one. I really love it. So I'm afraid that is all we have time for till we come your way tomorrow. Bye for now.